let know where do you ask your questions? Right here. Will you keep your facts open? That's a good question.
Again, I'm always open to new information, and you have to always be open to new information because we are constantly, I think, in an evolving world, and it's important to be able to grow to understand how there are certain complexities and certain, especially international politics that we need to take into account. So yes, I am very open to new facts and new understandings and new conversations because I mean, even in the New Hampshire state legislature, we've had debates where, I've been able to talk with some of my colleagues and they change your mind. And ultimately, that's kind of what we need to have, in terms of our legislators. I mean, in New Hampshire, I think we have a unique situation because of our $200 a year lump sum that we get paid as our total salary. So, I mean, we do have some interesting characters up there, but, yes, I think that you do need to be open-minded in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I don't think that they were saying facts like the unit of information, but your facts, like your fax machine.
Oh,
We've been
yes,
sending a
yeah,
lot
yeah,
of them this evening.
yeah, I mean, I don't have a fax machine, I'll be honest, my office, is made up of one person, and that's myself, in terms of, our legislative, staff that we get. I mean, the entire Democratic caucus, we have, 3 staff members for, what is it, 178 representatives right now? So, it's spread fairly thin. I think they have a fax machine there. I don't know the number of it.
We can probably find it if necessary. All right, I'm just waiting on final confirmations before we are officially live. I don't know if we are 100% or not, but the moment I find out, I'll have you introduce yourself. How about that?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, apologies for the hectic nature of this. We put on an emergency event, as we mentioned before, where we found out that Senator Schumer and several Democrats were planning to vote yes to reopen the government, taking
Yep,
action any open sessions, and we mobilized our community very quick and put out at least a couple hundred phone calls and a lot of
yeah.
fax machine messages, probably.
Well, that's good, and it's important, because I mean, as I had said earlier when I hopped on around 7, we are in a situation where this government shutdown is about protecting the ACA subsidies of millions of Americans. And that is a very important fact where when we look at the Republicans, they're fighting to remove those subsidies. They're fighting in court, despite the fact that there was an order for them to fund SNAP. They are fighting against funding SNAP. They have a majority in all three bodies. It's a fact that they control the White House, they control both chambers of Congress, and they need to be held accountable for the fact that they can't come to the table and provide adequate negotiating opportunities so that we can get things like these ACA subsidies through, because I don't think that it's an extreme ask. I think it's fairly straightforward. And we are putting people through hell and back because ultimately it's about the fact that we're enduring political pain. And the man in the White House, I think, wants us to struggle at this moment. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember clips of him during the Obama administration criticizing Obama for not having the government open because the president is supposed to get people together, and it is not something that we have seen happen. I think in recent years, even because during the first shutdown, what happened? It was all about his border wall funding. Now, during the second shutdown, it's because he won't meet with Democrats to discuss funding these ACA subsidies. And I think that it's a very clear fact that this man has not been willing to negotiate. His party is completely beholden to whatever he says, and that's where we need to change things in 2026 so that he is forced to listen to what we have to say.
Absolutely. Well, I believe that we're live on at least one of the platforms. We're currently live on Twitch. So If you would like to introduce yourself, Mr. Howard.
Yeah. So, hello, everyone. My name is State Representative Heath Howard. I'm a two-term state representative from here in New Hampshire. I'm vice chair of the House Progressive Caucus. I'm deputy ranking member of Executive Departments and Administration. I'm also the ranking member on the subcommittee on pensions. So, I deal a lot with the state retirement system. But in terms of this current race for the first congressional district, it's an open seat. And of all the candidates in the field, I'm currently the only union endorsed candidate. I also have the support of over 30 state legislators and other elected officials. And it's something where I'm very proud of the fact that that's more than any other candidate in the field. And despite the fact that I'm 25, I find it a little bit comical that I'm the one with the most experience as an elected official. And I don't say that lightly. I was the second most active Democratic legislator in the House this past year. I had 28 of my bills pass our chamber. I had 7 signed by the governor. And I'm very proud of the work that I've been able to do because it's not just getting things across the finish line, it's also stopping bad things from happening. Because we have a group called Free Staters here in New Hampshire that want to basically zero out every single line item in our budget. And they had put in proposals for a number of cuts, including to the areas that I deal with very closely, like retirement. They wanted to
Mhm.
eliminate the defined benefits packages that we provide to our state employees, which is basically the whole reason why it's beneficial to go into a public sector job over a private sector because you have the opportunity to make
Yeah.
$1 million in the private sector, but you don't have a guarantee of benefits. You have a chance of being laid off. You have a chance of financial hardships because you don't have that guarantee. The government is supposed to back up those federal jobs. They're supposed to back up those state jobs. And they're supposed to provide people with the benefits that they signed when they signed up for those positions. Because in New Hampshire, we have been continually rolling back a lot of those benefits that we provide. And these retirees, when they signed up, they were told, "We're going to provide you these certain benefits. We're going to provide you this much for your retirement." And it's very troubling to see that we have not necessarily prioritized that. So I had to work very hard, reaching across the aisle, talking to Republicans, to get votes to remove this language that would decimate our state retirement system. And we were able to do it. We were able to get the votes. We were able to remove this detrimental language from the budget, which was a Republican priority. It's a Republican priority that they put into our state budget, and I had to work very, very hard to talk with my Republican colleagues to convince them to vote no on that amendment to make sure that they stood strong and that they protected our state retirement system. And we were able to do that. So it's a thing where I'm very, very proud of what I've been able to do thus far in the New Hampshire House. I'm very, very proud of what I've been able to do thus far in the state legislature because I build coalitions. And I've done the same thing in my state district because I represent the third most competitive state house district in the entire state. I won by 16 votes this past election. And, our Republican governor, Governor Ayotte, won the entire district. Before that, Governor Sununu, our Republican governor before her, won the entire district. Hell, Trump won half my district. He won my hometown. It's a very, very difficult area to win. And you have to talk to Republicans, Democrats, Independents. It doesn't matter who. You have to talk to the entire electorate. And that's where I think that we're missing a lot in politics because we don't have really the kitchen table conversations that we need to be having so that we can really engage with each other so that we can understand our perspectives better. And I don't think that we've seen a lot of uh, outreach from politicians, especially at the federal level, going down and actually talking to their constituents in the way that they should. They're very much beholden to their donors and to the wealthy interests that they have, and I don't think that that's right. We need to be getting money out of politics, and I think that we need to be, as a Democratic Party, focused on 4 key issues. Number 1, we need to be talking about Medicare for all. We need to be talking about a universal healthcare system. We need to be pushing it because that is, I think, a lot of people's stress. Because you shouldn't be worried about going bankrupt just because you're sick or injured. Number 2, I think that we need to be talking about a housing system that works for everyone. because we have right now private equity firms coming in. Uh, I guess the Senate just came back. Sorry. Uh,
Uh-huh.
so the So for housing, we need to focus on getting these private equity firms out of the market. We need to get them to we need to stop them from being able to purchase these single family homes, because single families are not able to purchase these single family homes because they're being outbid with $50,000, $100,000 being slapped on the table over asking price. It's jacking up the cost of all the surrounding units, even if they're not being purchased by these private equity firms. Secondly, they're turning these long-term rentals into short-term rentals to limit the supply of units artificially, so that they can then jack up rents yet again, so that you have to pay more. This is a very large problem in terms of making sure that we have affordable housing for the future, because we have enough housing to make sure that every person in this country is housed. We do. It's just that we artificially limit access to that said housing, and that really creates a detrimental situation to a lot of people. And we need to make sure that we open up access. We need to make sure that we prioritize putting credits, housing credits through, so that we can help people access these things. And we need to make sure that private equity firms and Airbnbs are not being utilized in priority situations where we need single family housing, where we need workforce housing, where we need student housing, because profits should not be placed before people. I think that we also need an education system that lifts everybody up, whether we're talking about free trade schools or tuition-free public universities. I think that they're essential, that we need to be talking about, because when you invest in your community, when you invest in people who are going to have economic jobs that will benefit the economy, we're talking about people who are going to actually make their community better. And the investment that we're making there needs to be understood as one that will benefit our communities long term. And I don't think that that's being talked about enough when people talk about the cost of how are you going to pay for, all this education? How are you going to make sure that, we cover the costs, because it will eventually pay for itself. Finally, we need a living wage. I mean, here in New Hampshire, we have we rely on the federal minimum wage. We are 7.25 minimum wage state, surrounded by every other state that around us in New England that has at least a $14 minimum wage. It is very clear that the 7.25 minimum wage is not enough. We need to make it a livable wage, because when FDR first implemented the minimum wage, with the New Deal, the purpose of the minimum wage was to be able to provide the minimum amount of funding that you would need as an individual to get by, to be able to fund yourself, to be able to put food on the table, to be able to pay for your family's needs, to be able to get through and pay for rent, to pay for food, to pay for all the other essential needs that we have. And I think that those are really the 4 key things that we need to be talking about consistently. And I think that I'm the one in this race that has a record. I'm the one who has the endorsements, that can, and credentials that can back that up. And I think that I've been able to bring that fight, thus far, and I'm really excited about the momentum that we've built thus far, and I'm looking to, how we can make sure that this race is competitive, to make sure that we are doing what we can to win. And I think that we're doing quite a bit right now. And I want to just say again, thank you to every single one of you who showed up earlier this evening to call about the government shutdown and make sure that our senators fight and stay strong on this issue, because we need to make sure that those ACA subsidies are protected. So,
Mhm.
anyway, thank you so much, Jenny. I appreciate your time,
Yeah.
and I will, pass it off to the next question.
So yeah, as the host of the show today, I retain the right to ask the first question of the show proper.
Yeah,
Um, one of my kind of like pet policies that I not necessarily policies, but it's one of my pet projects that I'd like to see take a lot more space within the U.S. political body is just a move towards like urbanism and like public transportation and like cross country transit, like actual proper transit. If would you consider either bringing to the Senate floor or or endorsing a bill that would provide funding to create these systems, to rebuild road infrastructure, or not road infrastructure, but rail infrastructure, to like build up cities properly and make them like urban spaces that are nice to live in. Would you support legislation?
Yeah, I definitely would because whenever we're investing in any type of infrastructure, whether we're talking about rail, whether we're talking about physical roads, whether we're talking about broadband, ultimately any investment in infrastructure is one that needs to be planned out. And I think that we have to be thinking about the density of space that we are providing to cars at this current moment in cities across the United States. And the fact is that I think that it's making it very difficult, especially when we're looking at the amount of space that's being used for parking lots rather than apartments. And places like New York City, I think we're gonna see a very interesting shift in how this is being handled in particular in regards to with the new mayor, Mayor-elect Mamdani, which I'm very excited to see how that all plays out and how he is going to handle some of these different issues. As we've already seen in using New York as an example with congestion pricing, for example. So yeah, I do think that we need to be investing in high-speed rail. We need to be investing in different types of transportation that will mass transportation that will really make sure that we can get people from point A to point B with as little energy as possible and as efficiently as possible. Because ultimately, we need to make sure that we're thinking about how we can not just make it easy for people to actually get from point A to point B, but make sure that our environment is considered as well.
Excellent. Our first question from chat is from Kin. She is from Washington. Question: what would you do if you were a senator today? What with the shutdown and continuing resolution situation?
Yeah, I would be voting no. I mean, it's a situation where I'm not very thrilled about the prospect of trying to capitulate this early in basically providing very little in terms of actual results for our constituencies. I mean, I'm somebody who lives with a disability, and looking at these ACA subsidy cuts, it's very, very hard to swallow anything that doesn't fully guarantee this funding. And I think that we're going to find out ultimately tonight, uh, based off of what people are saying in the chat.
I was
Uh,
gonna say,
so
don't
yeah,
look at that. That's that. Don't worry about that.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I would be voting no, and on any CR, and I would be very disappointed in any action that would result in passing a CR tonight that does not fully fund those ACA credits, as well as kind of push for not just the extension of them, but the expansion.
Mhm. All right. Anybody from chat can ask a question in the chat. I'm gonna pull from another list we have over here. Um, this one comes from actually Blast Tyrant. Are you in here? If Blast Tyrant is in here, you can absolutely ask one of your questions. I don't know. You're a New Hampshire State co-lead. Come up and ask any one of your questions. You probably got to ask for permission. Hold on. Ask to come on stage. Ask to come up. All right. Blast Tyrant is invited. Welcome to stage, Blast Tyrant. There are several questions that I
Hi.
have that you wrote down, so go for it.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to be here. Honestly, I've been on hiatus for a few months. Lost Carcosa is the real state lead right now. I don't want anyone to think that I'm, upstaging him or whatever. My first question is, do you have ambitions for Senate? I know you're running for House right now.
I mean, ultimately, I've had some of my opponents in this race ask me why am I not running for governor of New Hampshire? And part of it is, it's the fact that I'm definitely not old enough. And I think that in terms of what the uh the opportunities that are in front of me right now, I think that we need to prioritize stronger leadership in the House and in Washington in general. If our senators are going to be much stronger going forward, I would hope that that's not something that I need to worry about, because I mean ultimately I don't think that having a career in Washington is the ultimate goal. It's more passing the necessary legislation so that we can actually improve people's lives and actually get things done. And that's where I think that I bring the proper credentials and resume to the job to actually be able to deliver on those things and those promises.
All right. Should I roll through the list of questions I had?
Yeah, yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Actually, there's a bunch of other people who want to ask questions, and we only have like an hour, and we're already 20 minutes in. Sorry, Blast
Okay.
Tyrant. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Uh, okay. We have a question from KJ Bookman. Uh, you want to come up? I'll give you a bit of an invite.
Hello?
Hello, welcome to stage.
Hey.
Oh, there you're gone. KJ, KJ, we lost you. Come back.
There we go.
Sure, wait, did you?
Oh, all good. Alright, so, first off, Representative Howard, thank you for stopping by and speaking to us, answering our questions. My question was, as a New Hampshire rep, how do you maintain keeping jobs, people, etc., in the state while competing with larger areas like New York City, Boston, and other larger cities? And how do you address that issue if it is one from a more left perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I think that New Hampshire, we're in a situation where we're just kind of begging people to come here. We're not actually doing anything to make them want to come here. We're just saying, please come here. I don't know if any of you saw, but after the election in New York, our governor, she spent money on a video truck to drive around New York City saying to come to New Hampshire. And the thing is that this state is extremely toxic to young people. We are so toxic to young people. They don't care about our K through 12 education. We have the highest in-state tuition anywhere in the country for in-state universities. We're ranked 42nd in business development. Do you know why? It's not because we haven't done everything in our possible power to make it cozy for these companies to come here, but we have done pretty much the opposite of what they need. We've basically exported our entire workforce. We're the only state in the country that exports more than half of our high school grads to out-of-state universities. And it's very telling to me that we care more about trying to claim that we are good for business, that we're good for individual freedom and liberty. But then when it actually comes to it, we don't actually stand up for those values because every young person is leaving. It's the second oldest state in the country, and the property value in the state is continually going up, because we're seen as a climate haven. There is literally zero reason to come here unless you're a private equity firm purchasing land for the sole purpose of selling it back to a consumer at a higher rate. And that I think is the ultimate problem, because we're not investing in our future. We're not investing in our workforce. We're not investing in the people that we need to make sure that our economy is functioning for everyone. And that's where I think that we need to make sure that we can provide some of these educational opportunities, like free trade schools, which I mean, we need to be pushing free trade schools far more than we are now. We need to make sure that people have trade jobs, because I mean, up here in New Hampshire, for instance, so like trying to find a plumber is very difficult. And these are good, well-paying jobs. union jobs that are not going to be replaced by AI. And it's how we can best help our community and help people stay here in New Hampshire. And ultimately, that's kind of something that we have failed to really invest in. And I don't see us doing it, especially at the state level, when we're defunding our university even further. Where even if you tripled our state university funding, we would still be dead last, or we would just barely be 49th. It's really disappointing because we also still have representatives in the House that are saying that they want more cuts to the university. So it's really difficult to look at how uh, our economy is going to move forward when people don't want to make the investments that we need so that we can be successful, so that we can stay competitive, and we can provide people reasons to come here.
All right. Thank you for your answer.
Yeah.
Thank you, KJ. Back to the hole. I have a bit of a question for you, Heath.
Yes.
Actually, Lost Carcosa, you technically asked this one. Do you want to come up and ask the? Actually, I can probably just do it. So my understanding is that you just kind of joined Progressive Victory, and that's how you got in contact with us.
Yep.
How did you find out about Progressive Victory in the first place? Like, what caused you to actually reach out?
I think I saw a post on Twitter, and I just kind of followed from there. It was an opportunity, and I think that we need to be creative with how we're getting in contact with people. And I appreciate the use of Discord and activating people through this online platform to actually get real political change to happen, because we desperately need it. And I think that especially in terms of an online space, and I'm assuming a lot of the people here are on the younger side of the spectrum. It's a situation where we don't really have our voices heard by elected officials as much as they really should be. And so it's really kind of something where I want to get out. I want to get out and talk to people anywhere, in any place possible. And it doesn't matter what platform it is, it doesn't matter what event it is. I want to be there so that I can engage with the community, so that I can hear their thoughts and concerns.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Are there any more questions from chat? Everybody's very focused on the on the vote right now. Bring you up? All right,
Yep.
Carcosa, get on up here.
Howdy. I've
Hello,
been
thank you
hyping up
for
this
joining.
event for 2 weeks. Oh boy. Thanks for coming. Thanks for reaching out first off. I've got a couple of questions here. First off, as a New Hampshireite, and as someone who faces some unique challenges in a state where you could argue the most prominent attractions for younger people is the wildlife and nature. What are your favorite activities to do in the state, or favorite places to go?
I'm a little biased here. I've got a few spots, kind of more on the eastern part of the state. I mean, in my neck of the woods, there's Stonehouse Pond, which if any of you went to University of New Hampshire, you've probably seen it on some promotional material or whatnot. It's a beautiful cliff face right over a pond that you can hike up the trail, and it's in Barrington, which is part of my district. So have to make that plug. But at the same time, we've got some really awesome features here in the state from our seacoast, which Portsmouth has a number of great restaurants, I have to say. And being able to participate on some beach cleanups this past summer over on Jeunesse Beach and Rye was really a pleasure, really beautiful. And going up Mount Washington, if you ever have the opportunity to hike it or drive your car up it, it's a very great opportunity to see real peace and beauty. And I mean, I think that we can all kind of agree that I mean, if you get up on Mount Washington on a clear day, it is a beautiful view. So that
Oh
those would
yeah, I've been
probably
up
be the
there and
few
I vouch for
places.
it.
Yeah, those would probably be the few places that I'd have to say are really kind of the key ones here in New Hampshire.
Hell yeah. Okay. This the next one is a personal interest of mine, but what would your thoughts be on a railroad revival project in New Hampshire?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we need to have high-speed rail from Boston up to Manchester, as well as going up the seacoast, all the way up to Portland. So we're talking, stops in Portsmouth as well. And I think that by providing those types of opportunity, it really kind of spreads out the commuter rail possibilities, because right now it's fairly centralized around the city of Boston, and we are kind of seeing our housing market significantly affected by the Boston market itself, as things are kind of creeping up, especially north. And I think that it's an opportunity where we can really kind of help provide some economic benefit, not just in helping provide transportation of people, but transportation of goods. Because at the end of the day, we would not necessarily need to be shipping as many things over our roads, which is going to save us in terms of fossil fuel consumption.
Oh yeah. If there was there's a rail that goes through my town, and if that rail connected to Boston somehow, I'd be in Boston like twice a week.
Yeah,
At least. Probably mostly to visit my sister, but also just it's a beautiful city.
it is.
Which I would, it would be cool if we could get some pretty cities up here too. But I feel like I don't know. What do you think a rail revival would be more likely than us getting like a Boston type city up here, or?
I think a rail revival would be more likely because something that I've really been trying to push for in the past few years is investment in broadband. Because we have
Hmm.
a real opportunity to kind of be a bit of a tech hub. Because I mean, Boston is a little bit more of a finance hub. It's got a little bit of tech engineering going on there. But in terms of what New Hampshire has to offer, I think that we really are kind of in a unique situation where we are very reliant on the Boston market, and we could really use some of that additional infrastructure investment to bolster our economy. And one of the reasons that I bring that up is because if you compare it down to Chattanooga, Tennessee, they invested heavily in a community-owned broadband system that brought in, I believe it was $5.4 billion of economic activity in its first year. And that is something that we could do here in New Hampshire as well. It's something that I've been trying to advocate for. But in terms of the BEAD funding that we have, which is some of the infrastructure money, it's been fairly fairly tight in terms of what we've been able to actually advocate for. It's been mostly North Country funding, unfortunately, but that is a fight in the state legislature in terms of what we are using those funds for. But we are not necessarily in the best place financially as a state. So I would hope that we could get something like a high-speed rail up to Manchester. Just my biggest concern is the very vehement anti-rail movement that is in the New Hampshire Republican Party because they just hate any idea of spending money on rail here in the state, even though it would improve
That's
lives.
so cringe. That makes me
Yeah,
upset. Okay.
yeah.
Some of the more real questions. Okay. What are some of the unique challenges you would face as a Democrat candidate in New Hampshire for trying to win a federal position?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, it's kind of getting through the primary first and foremost. Because I've won in a Republican seat before. I represent a Republican district in the New Hampshire House. I can talk to my Republican neighbors and friends, and I think that they're very open-minded in the way that I'm able to speak to them. And that's really kind of how we can connect with the other side. I think it's kind of having the opportunity to have those table side discussions, be able to kind of push the conversation in the way that we need to. And I think that it really comes down to, as I said, getting through the primary first and foremost. I mean, I'm the youngest candidate in the race. I'm younger than the kids of some of the other candidates. It's a situation where I'm bringing a new generation with me, and my campaign is completely different, I think, than a lot of the other candidates that are running. Um,
Yeah,
some
it
some
is a
excitement in the
pretty
chat, but
stacked race. It
it
is a
it
pretty
is.
stacked race. There are currently
Yeah,
three other Dem candidates and plenty of time for more to join.
yeah.
So in the
There
race, how do
there
you plan
are
on oh,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
There are 7 in the race currently, in the on the Democratic ticket alone.
Oh, 7?
So
Oh man, Ballpedia
yeah.
is out of date. Damn. Okay.
Yeah. There are 7, and we've had a few polls come out, which I have been consistently polling in 3rd, behind, Stephanie Shaheen, daughter of U.S. Senator Jeanne Shaheen, and, Maura Sullivan, who is our state party vice chair here in New Hampshire. And so she also ran for Congress in 2018. I think that we have a unique opportunity. I mean, people want something young, they want something different. They don't want to be anointing somebody who is just there because they have a last name. And I think that realistically speaking, it's a situation where we need to have representation that actually understands the state. I've lived here my entire life. I'm a 7th generation Granite Stater. I grew up in the district that I represent, in the New Hampshire House. I have gone to school here. I went to the University of New Hampshire. I went to Spalding High School in Rochester, and I've got a very good understanding, I think, of this district and what we need to do to win. It Keep in mind this district also was one of the swingiest districts in the country up until 2018, it was the swingiest district in the country, going from Republican to Democrat pretty much every other cycle. And I remember working in Representative Carol Shea Porter's office when she was in her final term. And she won in 2006 in her first election. She won in a race that had a very crowded primary, similar to this one, and she won in a race that the DCCC invested a ton of money into Jim Craig, uh, big name out of Manchester, and she was able to come out victorious because of the way that she went about it. She was able to go in with a grassroots approach, be able to organize, be able to activate a number of these small communities, and she was able to win. And I've had a number of conversations with her. I've had a number of conversations with a number of other groups around the state. And it's also why I've reached out to groups like yours, because at the end of the day, I mean, I'm not somebody who is taking corporate money. I'm not somebody with billionaire friends. I'm an average everyday person. And at the end of the day, we need average everyday people to be in positions of power. And that's only going to happen if we are organized, if we have discussions, if we are actually engaging with one another. And that's why I'm here tonight, because I believe that we need to have these types of discussions. We have to have these types of interactions in order to actually move forward.
All right.
Awesome. Got a couple other questions from chat that I've seen, so I'll probably get to some of those. Thank you very much, Las Carcosa, for coming up.
Thank you for having me.
All right. We have a question from Luna. What do you think the best strategy is to pull New Hampshire Republicans into a more liberal or even leftist camp?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to talking to the people. I think that there are a lot of people in this state in particular that are they're they're politically Republican, but they're ideologically Democrat. And when I say that, I mean these people, they don't know necessarily the values of what each party stands for. And it comes down to being able to educate them about the votes and what's happening in not just the state legislature, but in Washington as well. I think that, when I look at how our state party is running things, they do a very poor job of being able to actually activate the infrastructure that they have just by the fact that we have 400 state representatives. We have 400 people on the ballot
Yeah.
every single election cycle that are going to be knocking doors because they're trying to get elected themselves. And the state party doesn't really utilize that in the way that you would think. They kind of come into a lot of these elections with a top down approach where they just expect whoever's at the top of the ticket to carry the bottom. And it doesn't really work out in the way that it should, because at the end of the day, we're kind of reliant on what the top of the ticket has to say rather than giving feedback from the bottom of the ticket to the top of the ticket as to what the issues of the people on the ground and what they actually care about. So, I mean, I
Yeah.
think that we need to have a bottom up approach that we listen to our state representatives and our local organizers first and foremost, and then make decisions on policy, not necessarily just have the top of the ticket make all the decisions and go from there.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because one of the follow-up questions I was going to ask you is like, do you think that it's potentially the Democratic Party's fault for not exactly promoting its platform and getting all the young people to actually understand what they're about? Because it's kind of, at least
Yeah,
from my perspective, it's kind of not really coherent. There's not really like a central, this is what we want to do. It seems like just they want to kind of do nothing and keep things as the way they are, at least across the board. I know that like there's some candidates for changing that, but yeah, I was but you kind of answered that on your own already. Um, Here's an interesting question for you.
mhm.
Uh, do you have any thoughts about Graham Plattner?
Do I have any thoughts about Graham Plattner? I think that
All thoughts are
the
welcome thoughts here. Hit us with what you actually
I
believe.
I think it's an interesting race that we've got in the main Senate primary. I hope that he wins. I think that out of all the candidates, uh he's the best candidate out of all of them. He's he's had a few stupid controversies over the past few weeks, but I think ultimately, it's the dump that of dirt that they had, and I think that he's kind of weathered the storm fairly well. I think that, the tattoo was really stupid, but at the end of the
It is pretty
day, some of
stupid.
those army bros, they say,
He's not even
let's go get
army.
a tattoo.
He was a marine.
Oh,
He was a marine, not
yeah,
even army.
I apologize. I shouldn't have lumped them all into one category. Uh, but yes, yeah, yeah. I think that, I mean, I think that he would be the best choice of all the Democrats in that Senate
Yeah,
primary.
glad to hear it because we here at PV think so as well. All right. Uh, yeah. If you're already kind of like, I don't know, you're like 25, right?
Mhm.
I'm like 24. This is bizarre. Because normally I'm used to think of, I'm much more used to thinking of politicians as like someone who's at least 10 years older than I am. We are effectively the same age.
Yep.
Do you get treated differently or even differently by your colleagues or by do you think by the media um for just being like on the younger end of the political spectrum? Like a Gen Zer, right? Or do you identify as Gen
Yeah.
Z or millennial?
I'm a Gen Z.
Okay.
I'm pretty much the same age as yourself, and I think that, what we're seeing right now, in terms of the situation with we're trying to go about recruiting people of our generation to get involved. I mean, ultimately, they look at the gerontocracy that we have in this country, and I think that a lot of people lose faith. And I mean, I run a I'm in a district that is very red, as I've said before. I run a very tight ship here in Stratford District 4, and it's one that my predecessor, who was kind of our perennial candidate uh, for a number of years, he was not able to crack through for about a decade because he was in the legislature for a couple of terms, but the situation at hand, I think, that we have is that people just kind of lose touch with our elected officials. They don't really see us as people. And I think that in terms of how people have treated me in the state legislature, I get treated fine. I think that people see me as a hard worker, as somebody who's going to actually get things done. And that's the reputation that I've built for myself. That's why I have, as I said, over 30 state legislators endorsing me, which is more than any other candidate in the field because the people who've worked with me know that I'm going to work hard and that I'm going to fight for the people. And that's where I think that we need to be focused ultimately, is talking about what the needs of the people are. But the gerontocracy that we have right now is more about maintaining their own political power, and I think that we really need to push back on that.
Comes
We
back
need
to the
to
boomers.
yeah, exactly. We need to have term limits. We need to have uh, options that are not just the same thing over and over and over again. We need to have proportional representation so that there's no gerrymandering, so that states will actually send representation that matches their electorate, so that we have people being represented from all points of view to make sure that we actually have people in power that are not just going to, be in power because, well, I waited 50 years, so it's my turn. Because at the end of the day, that's not good leadership. Just waiting your turn so that you can become the most powerful is just a stupid way of wasting your life. At the end of the day, we need to be thinking about not necessarily, the power and the positions that we're in, but the policy that we're passing and the impact that we have on the people that we're supposed to be serving.
Thank you very much for the answer. Um, Question from Mateo in the chat. Is a dues paying member? Would you like to come on stage? I'll send you an invite in case you want to come on stage. Matt's the stage. Oh. We cannot hear you, Matt. Or wait, maybe we can hear you and my stuff broke.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. Left this audio. Okay. My question is, how would you describe New Hampshire politics to someone from a different state? You know, I'm the Northeast Coalition lead, so I really want to try to understand all my states.
Yeah, for sure. I would say that New Hampshire is a fairly libertarian state. Uh, we, believe, I think, very heavily on our individual freedoms and liberties. But at the same time, when I say that, we have people that often think of the Free State Project, as I mentioned earlier, but I think it's also more generalized than that, where we have people that don't want to be involved in foreign wars that we have no business being involved in. I think that we have a very unique population. We have a very high percentage of veterans that live here in New Hampshire. And I think that that partially kind of plays into that. But it's kind of the fact that while we are kind of reddish, I think that it's more because people here are a little bit more independent, and they are more likely to split ticket, and that's why we end up with the full Democratic delegation that we have down in Washington with the full Republican legislature that we have at the state level. Because people, they are independently minded, so they'll vote split ticket rather than vote full Democrat or full Republican. And I think that that kind of plays into the unique fact where you have to really play into the individual campaigns and the individual candidates that are running, and really kind of convince people to vote for the individual rather than the party that's behind them.
Makes sense. I also have a second question, if I can ask that, Jenny.
Yeah.
You. I guess I'll allow it this time, but only this time.
Yeah. So my second question is, do you have a favorite chocolate bar, and is it a Heath bar?
Is it the Heath bar? You know, I have given those out on election day before. I have a collection of Heath bars. I also do have a series of other candies that I give out as well. You know, again, just because you never know. I mean, there are almonds in Heath bars. So, you know, if you got to be nut conscious as well as the fact that not everybody likes chocolate, but you know, I try
Yeah.
to help you know, try to keep the spirits up in line while people are out waiting in the cold.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's been a long day.
Yeah. Well, that was a
Get
good
out of
answer.
here, Matt. I'm
That was-
banishing you.
Yeah, I do reference Heath bars quite a bit though, because if
I mean, it's
people
good branding.
it is people always mistake my name for Keith as well, and so I have to correct them.
Oh,
So saying Heath
like the
like the
chocolate
candy bar
bar.
makes it easy. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
I don't think you actually said if you liked them, though.
I do, I do. I have a, as
Okay.
I said, I have a giant bag of Heath bars lying around here somewhere. I have given them out for the past few election cycles. They've been fairly popular. And you know, a typical politician dodging the questions. Yes. Yeah, I'm dodging the question. You know, clearly I said that I like them. You know, I'm saying that I also give them out to people. You know, it's
Yeah.
important. It's good branding.
um. Had another question from KJ. KJ, you want me to read it out? Or you want to come back up? I'll send the invite in case you want to come back up. Then you just click it. Welcome back, KJ.
Again. So my question, part of the reason, thank you, Jeriquid. um, so, for PV in particular, one of the things I liked about this organization is I'm 35, and I remember being in my 20s, being younger, and thinking, oh, if I work hard, I put in my dues, maybe in the future I can become politically active, work towards that. And it's very inspiring to see a lot of people, including yourself, being like, no, fuck that. I'm going to make political change right now. So,
Yeah.
one of my question is for the younger people in the audience who are interested in entering politics or working towards politics, what advice do you have for them?
Yeah, do it. You gotta put your name in. I mean, I lost my first election. I lost. I did not come that close. I finished like fourth out of four. Uh,
Mm.
I mean, but I'll give some context for that too. I mean, I first ran for the state legislature back in 2020, in the same district that I represent now, and I lost. I actually had broken my back for I had suffered a severe spinal injury when I was 15 that nearly left me paralyzed, and when I was 20, one of the titanium rods that I had in my back ended up breaking, and I had to have surgery to have it all removed. And obviously, being you know, during 2020 because of COVID, I wasn't able to get my surgery. And on top of that, it was you know, an election year, so our perennial candidate, because of COVID, did not want to run again, and I ended up throwing my name in with pretty much zero expectation of winning. But I ended up coming, I believe, a lot closer than I thought that I would. And I saw how it was winnable. I saw how I could actually come through and deliver a victory. And in 2022, I ran again. I ran, knocked a ton of doors. I won by 7 votes. And I'm very proud of the fact that I was able to squeak right in. And the fact that I won by 16 votes this past election cycle. It was great that I was able to double my win total from last cycle, but it's not
That's
saying
a
that it was much,
that's what I was about to
you know.
say.
But, you gotta go out and you gotta talk to people. You have to put the effort in, and the only way that you're gonna be able to change this world is by putting in the effort, by making sure that you have those conversations, by putting your name on the ballot. And, it's a lot of hard work, it's a lot of challenging work, but at the end of the day, it's especially needed because our voices are not necessarily, being heard at an equivalent level. And, I'll often joke, I bring down the average age in the state legislature by a few decades, uh, which, you know,
Gerontocracy, as you
is
said
not
earlier.
it's not necessarily true, but, it is something where, realistically, we are just, I'm looking at the Ossoff knows. Okay,
Yeah, I was about
good.
to say Asif
Yeah.
voted no. Maybe we're back. Oh
Yeah,
man.
maybe we're back. Maybe we're back. So yeah. But
Where
yeah,
where are you personally on the where are you personally on the we're so back it's so over scale? Where are you on the cycle right now?
I mean, I think that Democrats electorally, they are back. It's just policy wise, no. They are so, I mean, it's a comedy of failures, realistically. And we are in such a bad position, I think, when people are looking at the Democratic leadership that we have. And for instance, this race in New York, where we have, the vote blue no matter who crowd refusing to endorse the Democratic nominee for mayor. It's it's just, it screams hypocrisy. It screams, why the fuck should we listen to anything you have to say? These people, they ran on 0 issues this past election cycle. They ran on "We're not Trump," and that is ultimately, I think, partially why we lost this election, and the only way that we're gonna be back is if we can get new leadership, and that's where I think it's gonna be very dependent on this upcoming election, what happens in these primaries. And I think that it's a good sign that we're seeing some people like Nancy Pelosi step aside, because it opens up the opportunity for some fresh blood to get in. And I think that that's where we're really looking at the opportunities that we have moving forward into this upcoming year. And I think that we've got some real opportunities for success. It's, looking good in Maine. I think that we've got some real chances here in New Hampshire. And not just here in New Hampshire, but across the entire country, we're seeing wins in California. Utah might be redrawing their congressional maps because they might be unconstitutional in Utah. It's like, we are getting wins in a bunch of different places, especially even unexpected places. And I think that that's where we have to be considering how we're walking a very fine line at the moment too, with the Trump administration continually scaling up their use of power and their use of force. And that's where we have to be, cognizant as to, making sure that we pressure our elected officials, making sure that we pressure our secretaries of state, so that they understand that the elections that they run should be free and fair, things like that. And I do believe that we are back in a lot of ways. It's just the people that are currently in power, they have
They
not been
need
there
to
in a long
their
time.
careers need to be
Yeah,
over. Their careers need to
yeah,
be so over.
exactly. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, we are at the end of our 1 hour. We did start a little bit late, so if you'd like to field a handful of questions from the chat, we can absolutely do that. Although
Yeah.
it seems
Yeah.
that the chat is currently focused on the craziness going on. Oh, thank you, KJ. Sorry.
Yeah.
Chat is currently focused on the craziness happening. Are we back for real?
Yeah. So I mean, you're good. You're good.
I'm
Look.
sorry, Heath. I promise we love you.
I was distracted this entire time as well. Like I was I was looking at the TV, just watching the votes. So you're not alone, all right? We're completely there together, and this is important. And a lot of you put in a lot of time today. You put in a lot of effort and a lot of work, and I appreciate you taking time to make sure that this happens, to make sure that we have people stay strong to vote no. Because at the end of the day, you're the ones who make this happen. You're the ones who make the difference. And I'm very, very proud of each and every one of you for doing the work that you're doing. So thank you.
Yeah. Oh man. I um all right. A double question from Blast Tyrant, just because we're at the end. Sorry for not letting you up. How many beans do you think you could eat in one sitting? Important question, one for the ages. And also, would
It
you
depends
support a
on
total abolition of ice?
Yeah, it depends on what type of beans. What type of beans are we talking about here? Are we talking like baked beans? Green beans? What are we talking?
I mean,
And
you're whatever, whatever,
it,
whatever
the
type of bean.
politician,
Personally, you probably want
I
to.
choose the beans. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you
Okay. All
choose the
right.
beans, you probably want to go on the smaller end so that you can fit more of them.
I could eat a I mean, I could eat a lot of beans. I would say it depends. I could probably finish a can of Bush's baked beans. I could do that. Secondly, yes, I do support the abolition of ICE. For those of you who don't remember, we used to have INS in this country, and INS was then broken up into several different departments, including ICE. Which is now being used as essentially a private Gestapo. I think that we need to look at the constitutionality of the actions that they're taking, and I think that if you spend any time on social media, you can easily see several examples of them just violating the law on multiple different occasions and events. Because it's just it's laughable as to how poorly trained these people are. Because
Yeah.
and I mean, but that being said, it's also very disturbing because I mean, I've seen videos of parents and children being separated, and how you see these children crying for their parents, and it's just it's it's very disturbing. And I don't think that it's
Mm.
acceptable. I think that we have other organizations in this country that can handle the job of ICE. We have TSA, we have Customs and Border Patrol, and we have a number of other options that we can move towards to actually handling the immigration processes in this country. Uh, but I don't think that we can allow the funding of a group that is going to just willfully ignore the Constitution and the law of the land that we've set.
I'm just staring at chat like are we back? Like I've been listening to everything you said. It's very insightful and good and you're very rice and bean pilled.
I'm very
But
rice and bean
man,
filled. Yes, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I had I mean, people will probably say that New Hampshire doesn't have good Mexican food, but I gotta say there are some good spots. Manchester, I love Consuelos. I was thinking about going there the other day. Ended up going to Dora's Taqueria in Rochester. That's a really good place. Uh, I know yeah, the Mexican the dude on Elm Street, which place are you talking about there? You can smell when you get onto the block. All right, I'll have to check it out. I'll have to check it out because what's my Taco Bell
What's your
order?
Taco Bell
Quesarito,
order?
chick, chicken quesarito. I'll tell you that.
Damn.
I don't even know if it's still on the menu anymore. A Las Frita. Okay, all right. What's my DQ order? Uh, we're gonna go with an Oreo Blizzard. How about that?
An Oreo. I haven't had DQ in years.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I don't even know. Can you make a kayfabe promise to bring the taco pizza back?
I can't make any such promises as that, but we'll do our best. What's what's your favorite place in Maine to vacation? Altations vacation. Well, my mom's side of the family is from Saco, Biddeford. So I'd probably have to say Old Orchard Beach if I was gonna go up in Maine.
Project Zero has been asking for a while. What's your playlist? What music you listen to?
What's my
I think
what's
we're
my
out. I think we're out of the
playlist?
zone of
Okay.
serious questions. I think we're fucking around
Yeah,
now.
I kind of after the beans question, it just was it was downhill from there. So yeah, my playlist. Peach Pit is probably my number one artist. I do enjoy Cage the Elephant. Um, I gotta say, I like Catfish and the Bottlemen as well. So I mean, those are probably like three of my top bands.
Got some fans of all those people in chat. Well, we are. I believe we're at the end of our time. If there's, is there anything else you'd like to leave us with before we all just turn back to C-SPAN?
Turn back to C-SPAN. Yes, thank you all for joining. I appreciate your time this evening. If you would be able to join me on social media, you can give me a follow on X, Blue Sky, or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram, Facebook, uh, TikTok, YouTube. Uh, the, all my all my ads and handles are Heath Howard NH. You can visit my website heathhowardnh.com. Please, if there's anything that you can do to help out, we're looking for volunteers. And I appreciate you all again for taking time out of your day to call into the Senate. Making sure that we can get those votes was just so critical, and I think a lot of you made the difference tonight. So thank you again for taking time out of your evening to do the important work, to make sure that your voice is heard, and to make sure that our senators do their job. So thank you again. I just appreciate each and every one of you.
Mhm. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on. And thank you to all the people in Progressive Victory who put in the hours. Thank you for all of you being here. Thank you for everybody who's watching live on YouTube and Twitch. Um, we'll see you all next time for another AMA or some event. Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you. Bye
thank you so
bye.
much.